Not having soda is a huge boon to your health. And I think people underestimate how much just one soda, that sugar bomb or chemical bomb if it's fake sugar, I think people underestimate how bad that is for you. I mean, every once in a while I'll have a Coke if I have an emergency migraine and nausea and I'm not.
Yeah, if I told you drank 100 of those 150 pounds of sugar a year, I think a lot of people would be surprised.
Hello, and welcome to Legends of Longevity with me, Joseph Ence. I'm your host, and I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey towards living a longer, stronger, and more vibrant life. The podcast is about uncovering the secrets to longevity, things your doctor does not tell you, whether it's groundbreaking advancements in heart health, lifestyle tips to keep you thriving, or inspired stories of people who defied the odds. Together, we'll explore the tools, techniques, and mindset shifts that can help you unlock your fullest potential. Whether you're here to learn how to enhance your well-being, support your loved ones, or just stay ahead of the curve in health and wellness, you're in the right place. Let's empower each other to not only live longer, but live stronger.
So I'm here with Hadley Henriette. She's got a pretty cool clinic down in Florida, and we're always looking.
Not a clinic. I don't have a clinic. I've got a website.
Goldilocks Healthcare or Goldilocks?
Goldilocks Wellness is a website. I work with a clinic doing their PR.
So you like the PR. Very cool.
Yeah. I'm just a, how do you say, a well-educated regurgitator of information for people's consumption.
That's fair.
Yeah. And I used to do that a lot for like pointless things that don't really matter. And so I decided to do it for more important things like wellness and health.
Yeah. So you're into biohacking. And we had talked the other day, and I got on your website, and I saw a bunch of really interesting articles. So I wanted to pick your brain a little bit as to if I want to prevent heart attack and stroke, but I'm hearing a lot about biohacking, what things should I learn about?
Oh, that's a very good question. I mean, that's something that I have been very concerned about myself. So I did a lot of deep diving and research on, and, maybe I should add that my grandmother had maybe a stroke or brain bleed, in her late 60s. And so I've always been very concerned about that. And my cholesterol is high, even though I look healthy and I'm a good weight and everything. So I've been diving deep into how to prevent that. And I would say the best way is to just stay on top of your diet and try to keep your inflammation low. I think inflammation is one of the things that can cause it drives high cholesterol, and it drives platelet aggregation, right?
Yeah.
So I think, staying on a fish oil is a good recommendation, but not too much, right? So that's where the Goldilocks thing comes in. You don't want to have a brain bleed because you're overdosing fish oil. So you've got to kind of get that just right. I had been recommended by actually 2 different doctors to do statins because of my cholesterol numbers, which are combined around 300.
That's up there.
It's up there.
200 is like a lot, right? Like that used to be the guideline. Now they're down to like 180, 150. I don't know where they are now.
They keep moving the goalposts, but from the functional medicine perspective, 300 is more the cutoff for concern. And if everything else is good, like your HDL, which I always remember, that's the good cholesterol because it's H as in Hadley Henriette. So that's how I remember it's the good cholesterol.
The good one.
If your good cholesterol is high, it's a little bit less to worry about. I don't know if you recommend to people to do the cardio IQ, which is a little bit more in-depth cholesterol test that they're going to show you the count of the molecules and how big they are. Apparently, the small dense ones are worse than the big fluffy ones, right?
Yeah, and I can tell you why. Looking at ultrasound, there's turbulence in the artery, and that they pushes those into the soft wall, and the body can't kick it out. So they get kind of like the monkey's fist gets stuck in the wall and turns into a big fatty streak or a plaque. So those dense little molecules go swishing around your blood all the time.
That's really crazy. Well, yeah, I mean, I think understanding the mechanism by which the cholesterol is, what it's actually doing, or what's the problem with it, just like high cholesterol in a vacuum might not be such a big deal. I mean, for example, I have very low blood pressure, so they were like, well, it's not such a big deal. But guess what? I did the cardiac IQ, and you probably think I'm going to say, oh, my cholesterol is mostly the big ones, the big fluffy ones, not the small dense. Wrong. Mine are the small, dense, bad kind.
So the HDL are the big fluffy ones, and they bring back stuff to your liver for processing, and they're super healthy. And niacin, the kind that makes your skin flush, turn all red. I know that when cardiologists have a heart attack and they get serious, they start taking 2, 3, 4, 5 grams of niacin a day, and you got to work up to that because it full on.
Yeah, the flush is intense. So do you think the flush itself tells you that you're taking enough niacin to make that work, or?
Yeah, that's the reaction you want.
That's what you want.
Flushing. There's supplements that you don't flush, but I've been told by many reps and many scientists, like, that's how you know it works, is that you're getting the itchy skin.
And is that flushing actually, that's the opening of the capillaries, right?
Yeah.
So that's just like, boom, everything is opening up, which actually for me, I suffer from poor circulation and cold hands, cold feet. So would that be a way to sort of, how do you say, that would be a way to know that you're getting that circulation?
Yeah, I've been told that it's an allergic reaction technically, but it doesn't hurt anyone. And the benefit of niacin is that it increases your HDL 7 points a year, every year, no upper limit. So yeah, you can have crazy high cholesterol. If that's your good cholesterol, then rock on, right?
Well, the way that I worked with a functional doctor to address this high cholesterol, and what I've been doing is plant sterols in the morning and evening, so twice a day. Bergamot, citrus bergamot.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Apparently that helps. And then to take fish oil, again, ideally morning and evening, but I probably really only do it once a day. And that has brought down my numbers, as did changing something. So my cholesterol has always been high, but it shot up when I started doing HRT with oral progesterone.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and that just drove my cholesterol, which apparently can happen. It's not maybe common for everyone, but it is processed in the liver, and it made my cholesterol just shoot up and change from like the not so bad kind to the worst kind. And so I was on that for a year, and I said, we got to do something. So I stopped taking the oral version, and so we're trying to bypass the liver now with the progesterone.
Yeah, so let's talk about hormone replacement therapy, and let me set the stage for a minute. I go to a medical conference at the Cleveland Clinic, and this lady gets up, she wrote a book, Outliving Your Ovaries, and gave a really well argued, like, hormone replacement has a place, it's not for everybody, don't miss this dip, the menopausal dip. And it was a well argued, super, like, how to do it safely. Well, then rolls in the Mayo Clinic cardiologist, big bad gal, and they almost started fighting, talking about never do hormone replacement, and like we all just watched this really well argued how to do it thoughtfully, and then somebody else had to actually stop them from almost throwing punches. It was wonderful because it lets you know that the medical industry is not like solidified. You got
they don't agree.
Echo chambers and hearing it.
I think what that is, I think what that was somebody with new information and somebody that had old information, and they were fighting the current versus the former orthodoxy, and the cardiologist had the old information. So there was a really famous nurses study that took place, I think in like 2000, around that time, and they had a huge number of nurses. I don't know if it was 50,000 or just a really large number, and they followed them for a long time, and they came back with the results that that it was causing more breast cancer, more of everything bad that you don't want. And like almost overnight, all these women that were on hormones just stopped, just pulled the plug immediately because of this study. And the problem, this study was way flawed, and it took them years to kind of figure out just how flawed it was, and to kind of maybe to have people doing bioidentical hormones and realize that those are not causing problems, to kind of have that information come full circle. It like took 20, 25 years. I don't know how long, but the main issue with that is that some of those women, they were older women. A lot of them had been in menopause for like 10 years, which you should not do. You have like a little 5-year window, 3-year window that you should be starting that. Ideally, you do it as soon or even kind of overlap them. And these people had been in menopause, and then they just threw a bunch of synthetic hormones at them. They didn't use bioidentical progesterone. They used synthetic progestin, which we know is like the not so good kind. And I think they were doing oral. They were not doing patches as they do now, which there's more risk with oral, but it's also just wasn't bioidentical. And they had some more cancer because I think at that age it can be, I mean, there's a lot of things, but they've since decided this study sucked and that there's a worse risk in not going on, especially you would probably see it. As soon as you don't have that estrogen, your arteries get worse. And maybe you could explain like in what way or what does the estrogen do for the artery? But
I don't know exactly what it does, but at many conferences the doctors say that women have the cardioprotective effect of estrogen. When they hit menopause, their risk becomes that of men.
Well, your blood pressure goes up, your cholesterol goes up, things change in that capacity. And I mean, there's a lot of other things that are going on. Obviously, it's neuroprotective to have the hormones because, so many things. Your skin, all the aging. I mean, everything ages without those hormones, which I think is a little bit crazy, though. It's like, why can men be young without estrogen, but women can't?
I don't know. Testosterone's a heck of a drug. Like,
it is.
I'm 10 times stronger than my wife. I got to open and I enjoy it, right? It gives me something to do in the house, but it's...
Opening jars.
Yeah, that's my contribution. But, it's just something you got to be super considerate of. It's not fair. It's definitely not fair.
It's not. And I think about it. I'm like, well, when we were young girls, before puberty, we didn't have a lot of estrogen. And we were, dewy skin and looking great. And you slept well. We didn't need that estrogen to be healthy when we were little. So why is it that it's so devastating to lose it after you've had it for a while? I really don't know. But
right? Like devastating. Like your risk for all diseases goes up.
It's devastating. You feel weird. You're more anxious. I notice that if I'm not on it, I just can't sleep that well. Like progesterone really helps women sleep through the night. In some cases, it sort of almost knocks you out. Like it's almost like a somnifer. You're just like, roar, like you've been a tranked deer. I had a friend that just started it, and she didn't quite do it right. You're supposed to take it right when you go to bed or right before you go to bed, and she was taking it with dinner. And she felt like a deer that had been tranquilized or something. She was like, roar, roar. I had a really crazy reaction to the first time I took the one from like Walgreens that is 100 milligram immediate release. It's not even a slow release, and it just overwhelms your body with tons of it. And I felt so weird. Like, I couldn't stay awake. I got nauseous. I started crying the next day randomly. I think I was at a car dealership, and I started crying after test driving a car, and I knew that something was wrong. So I was like, I don't think this is good.
Yeah, that's such a funny one. Women's reaction to high pressure, like I don't know. Estrogen is a great drug. I love women, but you girls get crazy sometimes with too much estrogen.
Well, this was too much progesterone. And so it's almost like being pregnant, I guess. I guess it was like being pregnant with a sudden shift. My body was flooded with tons of progesterone that it wasn't used to. And I mean, I lasted 2 days on this drug. I had to go to and this is sort of the unfair thing, I had to go to the compounded version that my insurance doesn't cover. So my hormones, I can use one item that is from the drugstore and my insurance covers, which is the estrogen patch, but I've got to do everything else compounded because all the ingredients in the mainstream pharma versions irritate me. I don't know why they would do immediate release.
Who's got time to figure that out? Why is the medical system sucked that way so bad?
It's so I mean, honestly, I could just tell them what to do. It'd be like, even there's an amazing, well, I don't know if it's amazing, but it's supposed to be good. I haven't tried it. Like a vaginal estrogen suppository that's supposed to be amazing. They put red dye number 40 that I personally am super sensitive to, so that it can be pink, because pink equals women.
Why is that necessary?
Why do you? And then if you think about it, like, women, if you have something pink coming out of there, you might think it's blood. Like, clearly a man did this. This is ridiculous.
Oh, that's funny.
Ridiculous.
I'm back. Menopause is over.
I mean, well, but just, yeah, I mean, so I can't use that. Who would? And then they put peanut oil in the progesterone sold from the regular pharma, peanut oil. So how many people are allergic to peanuts?
Oh my gosh. Hey, do you want to go on about seed oils, or do you think that horse has been beat?
Oh, I think we can talk about seed oils, because I think seed oils are a hot topic right now. And I'd say that the general public is waking up to seed oils. I mean, the biohacker type people have been trying to avoid them for a while, so it might be old news for them.
Yeah.
I think the average person, and even the enlightened people, are just now starting to hear about seed oils and maybe understand. I mean, I don't know if they understand why they're bad, but they know that they're bad. Maybe no? Maybe?
Yeah, let me give a quick history on seed oils as I understand them. America used to deep fry in tallow and pig fat, and everybody ate it. Yummy, yummy. It was great. And then World War II, they figured out how to get cottonseed oil, because the cotton seeds you got to take out anyways, and they're just waste. But if you can squeeze them and put really harsh chemicals with them, you can make an oil, like an engine lubricant oil. Like in World War II, they used it in engines. Somewhere around the 70s, they're like, well, can we feed this to cattle? They fed it to cattle, and they all died. In the 1990s, they switched out all deep frying from tallow, which we all agree was delicious. The McDonald's research kitchen, everybody loved it. And they went to seed oils because it's cheaper, you can clean it, it doesn't get old, and it's more effective. But it killed all the cows in the 70s. America...
It like just killed them, or they died of heart disease?
3 months is what I heard they lasted. Then they did it on mice, and it reduced testosterone in mice 40%. The human studies are not forthcoming on reducing testosterone, but it is down 40% in the gen pop in America right now.
Right.
So if you can get away with no seed oils, and we'll talk about which seed oils and how to know, but anything that's...
It's difficult and expensive to avoid them, I'm not going to lie. Like, I only recently, and I'm pretty into health, really put a line in the sand. I really put a line in the sand and was like, okay, I'm not going to have them.
I still get fries once a week, but it's hard to avoid them.
Well, apparently there's a few places that are frying in tallow, so you could try to go to those places.
Yeah, I got the app, the Seed Oil Scout, I think it's called, and there's like one place in Utah on a Friday night that you can get fries. So I've been trying to work the date night.
There's a burger place. Which one is it? Oh, you'll have to include it here. But there is a national chain, not Rallies, although that could be one, but something similarly, like it's ubiquitous, but yet not any of the top 5 burger places, but they have it. I think Buffalo Wild Wings or something like that also has, so one of the wings places has it. So you got to look around. Now, they're saying it's not perfect because there's still some chemical in it, but at least it is beef tallow. And there are some chips that they sell online, like tortilla chips, but they're like $24 a bag. So it's hard. Like, it doesn't have to be that expensive. If beef tallow was cheap enough for McDonald's to use it for decades, I don't see why it should be a premium product now.
Super premium. It's hard to find even.
But I mean, why? You know, it was something that was ubiquitous and easy and not that expensive back in the day. So I don't know why it would be so hard to get now.
Yeah. So changing your lifestyle, what do you use instead of seed oils, or what kind of diet?
So I'm using, there was a period of my life I did a lot of coconut oil, and that's one of those things that there seems to go back and forth. Is it good for you? Is it not good for you? There's a lot of evidence of the Pacific Islanders, doing pretty well on frying a lot of things in coconut oil. It does impart a taste if you use the solid at room temperature. If you use the clear one, it doesn't. I use a lot of ghee lately, a lot of ghee, which is supposed to have the butyric acid, which is good for your gut microbiome as well.
Yeah.
And the ghee handles the heat so much better than regular butter, because regular butter oxidizes even at low temperature. So you can't use butter for everything, especially if you're putting heat.
That's really
so
true.
So ghee is the right one for that. Ghee, we have duck fat in the fridge right now. I've been meaning to buy some beef tallow. I have not, but we've been frying in duck fat.
Duck fat.
Not frying. We're not really frying, but cooking, sautéing in duck fat.
Right.
And olive oil. But I think olive oil I was using a lot, and I realized that there is a cutoff at which it starts to oxidize as well. And I don't know the exact temperature, but it might be like 400. I think you easily get to it if you're sautéing at like above medium heat.
Yeah, finding good olive oil is even becoming tough because so many of them are adulterated or mixed with other seed oils. I mean, not as bad as like KFC saying their honey is honey when it's really corn syrup.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, corn syrup's a bad one. Did you know that they put a little bit of sugar in almost all fast food because it sparks up that part of your brain that's like,
yeah,
pleasure.
That I did know. I think
little.
Even the fries have some sugar. I mean, the ketchup is full of sugar. The breads are full of sugar. All the sauces are very sugar laden. Salad dressings, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know about in the meat. I don't know if they have it in the direct meat, but certainly in the breading.
Yeah, my personal doc told me, I'm going back a little bit, but that oh crap, I just lost it. Oh, deep frying creates plastic. And you've seen the microplastic studies that it's in all these dudes' testicles and it's in their brains. And turns out when you deep fry in seed oils, it creates a plastic that you consume.
That I haven't heard. I would want to see the research, but I wouldn't be surprised if a certain temperature might release some particle that is part of that seed. Because right now, microplastics are pretty much in everything, right? So I think high heat can maybe release them or, I don't know, synthesize a new plastic? I don't know. That's strong, but...
Yeah, it was like they found microplastics in like 90 or 98% of all these dudes' bean bags.
Oh, it's in there. It's in your brain. I mean, apparently you have the amount of a plastic spoon in your brain right now.
That's
in
horrifying.
The average brain.
Wow.
Yeah. And apparently the amount of microplastics in your body and brain are, compared to like 2016, the curve is like whoop, like going way up. So we really are in uncharted territory in the sense that we just haven't had that high of exposure for that long. So we don't really know what's going to happen.
Huh. Yeah. So we're sensing a change in the country right now. We're finding out that our food supply is pretty poisonous. The glyphosate, the bad diet, the seed oils, greasy, garbagey. What are you optimistic for? If you could paint your dream America, what would it look like with our food supply?
I mean, my dream America would have places along the highway where you could stop and get, whole organic foods, either quickly or semi-quickly, and that you wouldn't, in all of America, all of middle America, if you're not in a big city, you're in a food desert by default. I do a lot of driving. Every stop on the highway that is not in a major city has only the same, 5 fast food restaurants and, a TJ's and a Country Crock, or what is it called? You know which one. Yeah. And there's just nothing fresh in most of those places and nothing organic for certain. And it's just sad. I mean, when I was a kid, my family might have been a bit odd, but my parents used to like to take drives into the country. We lived in a suburban Columbus, Ohio, and they would be like, let's go on a drive. And they loved to put everyone in the car and drive out to a truck stop or some little restaurant that might be in a small town somewhere, and we would go eat and have a quaint time and go see cows and drive back. And we were eating homemade pie from scratch, probably fried in beef tallow. I'm sure there was a good amount of Crisco already at that point, but the stuff was not pre-prepared. And I think if those restaurants were even still around, the ones that are, they're serving you pre-prepared frozen foods that are all full of these chemicals. Like, no one is going out of their way to do anything from scratch or homemade, and certainly not organic. And I think what would be nice is, and maybe this will happen, is for people to realize that we're paying a tax not to be poisoned, right? So you're paying more money for organic food. And I know quite a few people who don't buy it because it's expensive. I even know a lot of wealthy people who don't buy it because it's expensive. You know, maybe they're older and they don't get it yet, but they're spending, but not on organic food.
But you're not even 100% sure it's organic, and that it wasn't sprayed at some point.
Well, right, but it is still significantly better. I mean, they show the amount of glyphosate in organic versus inorganic. I mean, yeah, it's not pristine because there's still plastic, microplastics, and still all that. But I think in the ideal world, we'd see subsidies for organic farming, regenerative farming, and not subsidies for GMO pesticide crops. I think subsidies for any crop that's using pesticides should just go away. And the financial incentive should be in organic farming and regenerative farming that's going to replace the soil.
I worked up in Idaho, like you. I get to travel for my job a fair bit, and I'll go up and I'll talk to 50 people a day, you know, patients, with my ultrasound and scanning them. And farmer was telling me about some land I could buy that was up for sale that comes with a government contract not to grow food on it. And I was like, the government pays farmers not to grow food? That's crazy. I looked it up. It's a big government program. And now in today's world, food is so expensive.
What's the thought behind that?
Control the market so there's not wild price fluctuations. And that's where they get the government cheese from, and but I don't think that level of control needs to exist. If there's an abundance of food, I don't know who loses. Like, the pigs lose, like everybody eats better.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I do understand commodities markets, but that's crazy. I think that, yeah, in the best of all worlds, we would start seeing the incentivize like healthy, organic type stuff. And maybe, I just don't know if it's possible, because it really is addictive to eat processed foods. And I think it's going to be hard to get people off of them. Although Ozempic might be helping as a strange, like...
yeah, what are your thoughts on Ozempic? That's a crazy one. That's new.
Well, it is new, and I was pretty staunchly against it. Although I do know a couple people who did lose weight that always struggled, and I think it's like, wow, that helped you. I think there's side effects we're not talking about, blindness among them, like people losing vision and gallbladder issues and all that. But I did watch a great podcast with a woman that is advocating microdosing of them. And I think if you can use a compounded version and do a very, very low dose, which I believe is about 1/4 to 1/8 of what the normal starting dose is, to the point where if you ramp up, you're maybe getting to what the starting dose would be with Ozempic and never going over that. There could be some benefit. Yeah, they're seeing all kinds of other benefits, but you just have to be a little careful. But the good part is that people are getting away from their addiction to food. Although, and I actually even suggested to my mom, like, maybe you should look at the microdosing, because people in her age group and friend group were a lot of people apparently doing it, and she didn't realize that she was the last person not to be on them. She's in her 70s. She's like, oh yeah, everybody's doing them, I guess. I didn't know. And she's always struggled a little bit with that. So, I was like, well, if you could do a microdose, I might be on board with that. But just be very careful.
Yeah.
Maybe it opens the door to healthier eating. I think people are evaluating. The market is adjusting. They're making food with more protein.
Yeah, I just don't know. It's such a new thing, and the people who are on it, they look healthier in some ways and a little more gaunt in another way.
Well, they're losing muscle. Actually, I should ask you, what do you see? You should be telling me, what do you see when you scan some of these different people with different conditions? So have you noticed anything when you're scanning someone who's been on Ozempic? Do they have...
I don't know about Ozempic. I haven't noticed that in the arteries, but I do have like clinics that are very heavy statin users. And those arteries look brighter. like more calcified, more stiff. I haven't measured the flexibility on them, but like I do see that with statin clinics, and patients do live longer. The numbers bear out. They're good, but they're kind of the tool of last resort. Like a statin is, if you get offered a statin, it's because that's the only way the doctor can help you, because you're not helping yourself. You're not exercising. You're not losing weight. You're not doing the things you should.
Right.
And the doc's got 10 minutes to do something with you, and he's going to write you that script and send you out the door.
Well, I've been watching some, and I don't know if you've seen them, some videos and interviews with people that have really gone deep on statins and saying that these things are bad for you. They damage your mitochondria. It really is, doctors maybe have been duped into over-prescribing them. They keep moving the bar of what the cholesterol levels are like okay, so that there are more people going on statins, although they recently reversed it, so many people might not be taking them as much. But for years it was going, they were lowering that bar, and more people were using statins. And apparently from what I have read, I can't say a statistic right here, but it has not really helped people avoid death and heart issues, actually. It does keep cholesterol down.
Yep.
Absolutely, it does. It will block you from producing cholesterol, which is just a protective thing, by the way. Like, the problem is that someone has inflammation that they're not treating, and that our regular medicine doctors do not look for root causes. You have to go to a functional doctor for them to really do the testing and take the time to try to understand what might be causing you inflammation. Although in many cases today it's just your diet, seed oils, sugar, alcohol, smoking, the usual.
Yeah, the usual.
But I think people, if they understood the inflammation that they were driving and the cholesterol was relating to that, like, I feel like for too many years it's just been like, oh, this will make you thin, or if you don't smoke, you won't get lung cancer. But they don't think about or understand the other implications of the inflammation, that these things are causing inflammation and what that inflammation does, like the whole downstream cascade.
Yeah, can we go through the causes of inflammation real quick? I'll list one. Metabolic syndrome, which means you have too much sugar and too much insulin floating around in your blood, and your body can't can't use it. It's just too much, and so it's desensitized, and that causes systemic inflammation. And I see that on the carotid IMT on the walls of the artery. Plaques can be caused by something else, but just systemic inflammation from that kind of diet is going to clobber you. We eat 150 pounds of sugar per American per year. It should be like grams or pounds, a couple pounds, but 150 is a lot.
It's a lot. And so you see the artery, you can, with your device, you can actually see how it's like more narrow because of that inflammation.
Yeah, the innermost walls of the artery just get thicker and thicker. And on high school kids, it looks like you drew this wall with a mechanical pencil, just thin and straight and tight. And as we get older, it turns into like this sponge cake and gets thicker, and your artery doesn't flex as much.
Right, flexibility.
Yeah, so it all adds up.
Supposedly, ozone increases your arterial flexibility.
Yeah, that's a good biohacking gizmo, is an ozone machine. You can get one for under 100 or a few hundred, depending on how nice. How do you use ozone? Because I don't use it yet.
I haven't used it a lot personally. I used it once. I did a major autohemotherapy because I was diagnosed, like I did a blood test and actually a urine test, and they discovered that I had pretty high mold counts and I was having some health issues at the time. So I made a mistake. I made a biohacking mistake in the sense that I didn't open up my detox pathways enough before doing it. I was just like, oh, let's get this mold out, And I went and I did, the dosage was 70 gamma for people that know. I just did a single pass and I was okay that day, but I was kind of tired the next day. But on the third day, I started having like a Herx reaction and an allergic reaction to all the things that were dying, which was likely candida and mold. Like when the molds die, they send off this endotoxin that's super toxic, and I got an allergic reaction from that. And I wasn't on a binder. I should have been on a binder. I made all the mistakes. So you guys don't have to. But I haven't since. There's a test that you should do before that called G6PD. It's a blood test. Make sure that you can handle that. Actually, at Centner Wellness, they have the EBO2, which is amazing. it's kind of like Gary Brecka recently came and used it there and posted it. It's sort of like a dialysis where they have going in one vein, or actually coming out of one vein into the machine, ozonates at a low dose but continuously, and then takes it through a filter. In some cases also through a light, maybe a red light or a UV light, and then goes back into you. Or maybe the light would be before the filter, and then goes back into you in the other arm. And it's about a 45-minute thing. They've got to watch your blood sugar very closely while you're doing it. That's probably the one thing. It's supposedly better to be maybe in keto or something like that, so it keeps your blood sugar stable. But it's like a dialysis, and it's capturing glyphosate, supposedly inflammation. And actually, I think it'd be very interesting for someone that's, working with arteries. But actually, I know some people that are going to test some of the things that were captured.
Yeah, like clots and stuff come out sometimes, right?
I think they also add a little bit of blood thinner to that mix so that you don't have any clots with it coming back in. Sometimes they do blood thinner or saline. And I have not done this. It's a real thing. It's not a cheap thing. I don't know if it's about $1,500 or something in that range. And but a lot of people do it just for wellness, and then sometimes very sick people do it. But I did the single pass, and I had allergies. I had hives for a while. The answer that some people said, well, that just means you really needed it. You were very toxic. But it did make me a little shy of it. So I've been working on a very slow detox ever since then, and I'm going to go back to it at some point soon. But I know what to do now. I know that I will be on a binder, which is like, a combination of like charcoal to grab all the little baddies that are dying so that you don't have to filter it through your kidneys and liver.
You just take charcoal pills?
Well, yes, or even better, GI detox, or that's a good one. And then I think Global Healing has a really good detox powder as well. So you take, and they have, what's good about them is that they're not just charcoal. They have some bentonite clay and, different types of binders because they all grab different types of mycotoxins. So one will specifically grab one kind. So I would be on that. I would also be on antihistamines so that I don't have any kind of hives or reaction to the things that are dying.
Huh.
And I just want to control the dose. I think the acceptable dose for a major autohemotherapy, which is really the old-fashioned way, it's like they take your blood, expose it to ozone in a bag, or better yet, a glass jar, and then drip it back in for like 45 minutes to an hour, and that's it. And then if you do that 10 times, it's like 10 pass. But I just did a single pass, and I did it at 70 gamma, and the acceptable dose is 30 to 80. So that means I did it almost to the highest allowable, which if anyone that knows me would have said, you want to start the lowest because I'm very sensitive. So I would do it again, but like at 30 or 40 gamma.
Did you ever find the source of the mold?
I did, actually. I had someone come and check the house, and we had a little leak. It wasn't like rampant everywhere, but there was some in some vents, and there was some behind a place where there'd been some water in a leaking roof, which actually subsequently we wound up getting a new roof and doing some remediation. And
I used to get down on the mold people, like I have this huge reaction and all that, but after seeing a documentary on the spores those release and how much they put out as far as kids, seeds and stuff, it's...
So you were a doubter?
I was.
You thought people were kind of exaggerating. Well, Dave Asprey has that great movie called Moldy, which is available for free.
I should watch that.
I think some people are more susceptible, right? So people that have more allergic profiles or are poor detoxers are going to suffer more. And then some people will be kind of just fine, or maybe they'll feel shitty for the day they come into contact with it and then be fine later. Whereas other people, supposedly mold goes through like a cycle where it dies or sends out endotoxins during the night and then like reabsorbs. So for a while, as part of I'm doing like literally a year-long kind of cleanup, is maybe first thing in the morning, take a GI detox or some type of great charcoal powder and grab everything that's been concentrating and released during the night. And then you got to wait an hour before you take any supplements or drugs or food.
Huh.
But that morning, so usually whenever you do a mold test, for example, it's from your first urine of the morning, because that accumulates and your body's trying to clean it out overnight. So that's when it's most concentrated in your body. So if you throw in a sponge to clean it up, that's going to be most effective. But I do think you have to be careful about not depleting your minerals with overusing, charcoals.
All right, new line of questioning.
Is that a good enough answer for you?
Yeah, that was a really good answer. It overwhelmed me, and I got to think about that, because mold is like allergies and all that.
There's a lot to say about mold.
Yeah, and like the only way to fix allergies is like exposure therapy. I used to have to go in when I was a kid. Not anymore? Wrong?
Wrong.
All right, well, the kids who grew up on the farm in the barn don't have as many allergies as the kid who grew up with Purell on their hands in the city.
That is true. That is true. But that isn't necessarily the reason. That isn't so functional medicine. I mean, yes, you can work on it through exposure therapy, typically oral, not like through the nose, because you're just getting worse and worse allergies, because allergies often will get progressively worse throughout your lifetime.
Yeah, like there's some I don't mess with, like peanuts in kids. No, I don't even try.
Or they get worse. They get worse through exposure. So I know people that were working with paper all day long, and after 5 years working a paper thing, touching it all the time, they got sensitive to it. Or I know a guy who was a record producer, and he was in smoky recording studios for 25 years, 30 years, and at the end he wound up with highly allergic to tobacco smoke. So I think it's like exposure can cause an allergy, but generally the way you want to expose for an allergy is either subcutaneously, like an allergy shot, or drops under the tongue, like sublingually. But you got to do it in a way that doesn't make the mast cells go crazy. And if you just breathe something in, your whole sinus will light up, and you're just causing more inflammation and more oxidative stress.
So you can sensitize to it, and then you can become like worse allergic to it.
You can become worse. And a lot of times what typically happens is people's allergies get worse and worse as they get older. Now, if you look at this from the functional medicine standpoint, it's totally different. They believe that most allergies have to do, or that frequently it has to do with leaky gut, right? Certainly food sensitivities do, and food sensitivities and allergies are not exactly the same. They're a little bit different. One is, forget which one's like IgG, one's IgM, and they're a little bit different immune reaction. But you will tend to become less allergic overall if you heal your gut, because what happens, well, you know about the leaky gut, right? I mean,
Yep.
That's like the 101, right? So
Like you just don't digest the enzymes in food you should. Some of the healthy food you have just passes right through.
well, that's
what do you
not
mean by
exactly.
leaky gut?
The leaky gut is basically in your gut and in your brain for your blood-brain barrier. It's like a screen door. And the larger those sections are, like the more things can pass through. So if the screen is tight, it blocks things from going through that aren't supposed to go through, but allows some things through, like smaller particles that are supposed to go through. If things get inflamed, or certain substances, like gluten is famous because it has zonulin, which actually opens up the screen door a little bit, and then it allows foods to pass through. Or not just food, anything that you've got in your gut that's not supposed to go through. And then what happens is these things are like entering your bloodstream and causing irritation throughout your body. So your body starts getting sensitized and having reactions to things that it should not otherwise be allergic to. And this starts causing systemic inflammation, driving allergies to be worse. And if you can get that gut healed and sealed, as they say, which means to make that big screen get tight again, and they're called tight junctions for them to get tight. And you want to get this mucosal lining that's supposed to be in your gut thick again, which antibiotics and just constant inflammation and processed foods and
What's this got to do with gut bacteria? The biome.
it's all related. I'm not sure I'm the best person to explain it, but having, actually there is a relation. I think you're asking me a leading question, but it's Akkermansia is the gut bacteria that creates the mucus lining. So people have killed that with antibiotics. And by not having that particular particular bacteria in your intestine, you're not getting as much mucus lining. And then that is one of the main reasons why you're going to have leaky gut, is that you don't have enough of that. And so gluten might not bother someone that has good amounts of that, but if you don't have a good amount of that, and then you're having gluten that has also glyphosate, which is attacking those bugs, it's still a bug killer in your system. It just leads to all this sensitization and leaky gut and immune issues and food sensitivities, and then by default, perhaps further immune reaction would be food allergies.
Yeah, so fecal transplants are definitely a thing now. Husbands and wives have similar gut profiles and mouth biome profiles. And so there's definitely some reasoning to kiss attractive people because they digest their food a little better. They maybe have a better gut biome that's not tuned to corn syrup, and I don't know, but like that's definitely true.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very cognizant of my oral microbiome, so I want to clean my mouth and have good breath and all that, but I do not just like douse myself with Listerine and kill everything wholesale, because you can create dysbiosis in your mouth just like your gut by killing the good guys that are keeping the bad guys in.
Thank you for saying that. The study came out, I think, a year ago that if you use Listerine or mouthwash, your risk of diabetes doubles or quadruples.
Yeah. No,
so the good bacteria got nuked. And
it can cause cancer, apparently, that like very harsh alcohol in there. I was told probably 15 years ago by a dental hygienist to always dilute it if I used it, so we do dilute it generally, just so it's less harsh on your mouth.
That's probably a good idea.
But I don't even use that much anymore. I usually make my own. So I make my own mouthwash.
You put on a biohacking conference. I'm trying to get you a technician, and I know I got punted and stuff, but how does someone get into biohacking? And I was reading your website, and you're like, biohacking is just figuring out how to get the best out of your body. Can you go on more about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a few ways. Obviously, information flows now, right? So we have podcasts like this one, YouTube channels, websites like mine, biohacking centers like Centner Wellness, and then you have the conferences. The conferences are a great way to learn things. There's one not in 2 weeks here in Miami, the Biohackers Expo, which is going to be great. Brian Johnson is going to have one, although I don't know how many, if it's more like about his brands, I don't really know. Obviously, Dave Asprey's biohacking conference is the OG, and I think they're going to their 11th year.
I gotta meet him.
He started this whole thing in terms of coining the word biohacking, but then also starting the first, let's get everyone together and expose them to all these cool brands and devices. So I say if you're really new to biohacking and you're really into it, it's a really good way to go see these things in person and meet people. And, right now it's sort of an underground subculture. I feel like, I feel almost like I'm a deadhead again. It's like this little code language where, not everybody knows what you're talking about, but people that get it. And
that's right.
It's going to go, I think it's going to hit mainstream. I mean, there's Brian Johnson went from someone I watched on YouTube to now he has a Netflix documentary. There's the Biohack Yourself shows on Amazon. I think you're going to be seeing more and more, and it will get more popular.
So it's not just for the kids who did great in biochem in high school.
No, I mean, I think it's for anyone that wants to lose weight. It's for anyone that wants to get rid of brain fog and feel better. It's certainly essential for women as they go through menopause. I think it's important for people that want to be parents. I mean, it's important for someone who might be taking care of an aging parent, just biohack them. I'm biohacking my aging dog. I have a 12-and-a-half-year-old Doberman, knock on wood. This is so far beyond the life expectancy. Usually they live between, at best, 9 to 11 years, although many times they'll die at 8.
You're a Doberman person?
Yeah, and he's outlived all of his siblings. He was a litter of well, 4 that survived. 1 died at the beginning. And there was 4 boys. And all of them have been gone, except for him, for at least 2 years. And my first Doberman lived to 11 and a half, so I thought, well, that's probably as long as I can expect, because he died of old age.
At 11?
At 11 and a half, yeah. And that's long for a Doberman. I felt proud of that milestone. So I've been bracing myself for the last year. And I'll tell you, about a year and change ago, he was starting to not get up and come to the door when I would come home. You know, he was starting to be slow. He couldn't go on the normal walk. He was dragging. I was like, oh boy, you know,
Yeah, that's so sad. You're going to make me cry. We got to change the topic.
Well, but there's a happy story in the sense that I decided that I wasn't, you know, I was giving him some supplements, and we had started cooking for him because of his heartburn, which he's had heartburn. And the answer is you've got to give him less acidic foods, which cans are very acidic, and he can't handle kibble anymore. So I realized that I wasn't doing everything that I could for him. I'm like, well, you are doing all these amazing supplements for yourself, and I do cook for the dog, and I was giving him some fish oil, but I was like, is that everything? Is that all? So I read a really great book, actually a vet that Dave Asprey had on his show. I bought his book and I read it. And I started realizing that you can give dogs almost all this, not all, but many of the same, you know, herbal supplements and sometimes vitamin supplements that people take. You just got to research. And one of them is NMN, which is like for people, you know, the NAD plus precursor fountain of youth. So I started giving him 150 milligrams in the morning. He's 80 pounds. I take 250. And I mean, the spring in his step that came back.
Really? Your dog bounced back?
Bounced back. You didn't think like, okay, he's getting old, he's slowing down, he's even way past. In a human equivalency, he's probably like 103 right now.
Where do you source that?
Well, I buy it from Pro Health Longevity.
Okay. And you've got an article on this on your website too.
I do, actually. I have an article on biohacking my dog. So you're right. I have a whole list of what I did for him with some links, and I believe to the book that I read. And yeah, you just need to kind of treat them the way you treat yourself, I guess, especially if you're a biohacker and you're really taking good care of yourself. So he gets pro-resolving mediators, which is like a sort of supercharged fish oil. It's really good for inflammation. He's getting things for his liver, which is like milk thistle. He's getting hawthorn for his heart. But he had an echocardiogram in...
Does this dog drink herbal tea? You're making it sound like it.
No, but he drinks double, triple filtered water with no, you know, fluoride in it. And all his food is made with that water, you know. And he drinks, alkaline water sometimes. But, no, I forgot what I was saying. But oh wait, what was I?
It's cool.
Oh, well, whatever it is. But
Yeah,
he came back. He came back. Like, you don't think it can happen. And he did.
So are you like a consultant? Or tell me, you're the marketing person, but you're pretty well read on the background of medicine.
I am. I have thought very seriously that I need to get a designation so that I can be a true paid consultant. I help people all the time, sort of just...
I suspect in the next year or two, an industry is going to pop up of health Sherpas that'll help you
Yes.
bird dog your problems, the unique ones. You know, guys who don't just talk to farmer reps, but know how to look up research studies.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a big industry. I know a couple guys, I'll try to put their names on my website, but people have problems they can't quite sort, and having a Sherpa to help you navigate it is becoming a thing.
Well, I have a good girlfriend that is, well, she's got lots of actual real designations, and she is actually a cancer Sherpa for natural healing or for integrating it with conventional. And she's great. Her name's Jillian Byrne. But yeah, I may come to that at some point. I just wanted to be able to have an outlet for the information that I have garnered and be able to share it. So that's what Goldilocks Wellness was sort of about. It was a start. I decided after having some issues myself to go fully into wellness and not do the fashion, art, luxury PR and coverage that I had been doing, which is fun and exciting, and
It's a good job. It's fun.
Yeah, having a private polo lesson from Nacho is amazing. Lighting candles and doing an event with Adrian Brody was thrilling. I've had some great experiences, but it's to the end, I want to really help people in a real way. So.
Yeah, and that's, you got to work.
You're doing that. I think maybe we should tell everyone that the way I met you was that you actually scanned my artery at A4M. And I was very concerned that I had, because of my high cholesterols and because everyone's been trying to scare me about it, I was really wanting to look inside there. And I was so excited when I found your booth and learned about the equipment that you have and the tests that you're doing to actually take a look inside that main artery and show you what's going on, instead of just saying, well, your blood panel cholesterol says this, which is really only one piece of the picture. And I'd had what is the one where they do the x-ray, the calcium score. I had done that.
What was yours?
Well, when I did it, it was 0. Back probably 4 years ago now, 5 years ago. But it was 0, so she was like, I was in a fight with my GP. She wanted me to go on a statin, and she said, well, you can do this calcium score, and if it's okay, then maybe you don't need it. And it came back 0, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah. Did I find any plaque in your neck? I forgot.
I don't think so. I think you said it looked pretty good.
Well, I tell everybody that. I don't want to freak anyone out.
Are you kidding? I thought it was great.
I'm pretty truthful. If I didn't do that, then you're probably okay.
No, you were happy. You were happy.
It is a good feeling when patients come in and they say, my dad died at 49, I'm now 53, I'm sure I'm going to die of a heart attack any day. And we look at their neck and the arteries clean, the relief that evaporates off them is so palpable. I love it.
I think it also is, like, for me, and I think for the general populace, we're trying to figure out if we're going the right direction, right? So there's been this huge shift in nutritional advice, going from like low fat or no fat, or processed type things, or high carb, to saying, okay, you should eat more of these saturated fats. The butter actually is good for you, yada, yada. And then you're kind of like, all right, but is this really going to be good for my arteries? Like, is it really going against? So you want to take a look under the hood and really know that what you're doing is working. And I think with your device, with what you're offering people, you can do that, and that's huge.
Yeah, we crush it with concierge, private. Wealthy people have different health care, and let me explain. If you go to a doctor and you get like a 10-minute appointment and you blurt out the problem and he gives you a prescription and you're out in 10, 15 minutes, that's not health care. You're on an assembly line for the pharma system. Mm-hmm. If good health care would look something like once a year, your doctor blocks out the morning, you show up with your questions, and you hash it out, and you set goals, and you're like, I want to feel better, and he'll offer things, and you may not have that doctor for years. Hopefully you do, but at some point you're going to be on a search for, all right, what's better, what's healthier, what are the best tips? Dried fruit? Oh yeah, I'll make a dried fruit. That's what I'm going to try to realign your taste buds. You have that decision to make, right? You don't need to be the victim of the cola and all those scientifically put together foods. Like, you can decide my taste buds, I'm going to retrain them to like tea or whatever.
Right, it's a little bit of work, but you can totally do it.
Yeah, and you'll feel better. You won't at first. You'll have those caffeine withdrawals and like whatever it is, but yeah, taking charge of your health is an effort, and it takes time. It took me 3 months to figure out the seed oil game. Once I kind of like decided they were evil. Wait, they're in everything. Even the salads at the restaurants.
It's really hard to eat out and avoid seed oils. That's been tricky. But I mean, I think once you understand that restaurants in general are trying to buy food at the cheapest possible price and sell it at the highest price, and that margin in between is you're paying with your health, but it's, that's their profit. I think once you understand that, you're less excited about eating out.
Yeah, let me tell you what I miss. I miss the artists. I miss the healers. I miss the chefs. Like, I truly believe, I've got a friend he was a he wrote the newsletter for the Mayo Clinic for 20 years. He's now a private doc in Arizona, and he's a Qigong dude, right? And I'm not into that, but I know there's something to it. And we're having dinner, and he's like, hey, let me make your burrito thing. And he made it. And then I realized, like, he invested some of his spirit and attention and heart and soul into making that for me. And there's something spiritual about somebody who cares about the food making it for you.
Well, they're putting I mean, that's like quantum, that's the whole thing of like Layla quantum tech and everything, of transferring the energy, your life force into that thing, and then you eat it. And I mean, that's real. And it's funny, I had this, well, yeah, it's interesting how the more you learn about these things, kind of the more you get into what might be considered woo-woo by some, but it's like, once you start learning these things and you're like, oh wait, that's real.
Yeah, well, dig this journey.
Yeah.
So 2 weekends ago, I did a class called vibravision.com to develop your third eye. Right? I'm prepared for anything because this is a totally ridiculous concept to everything I've done. But I saw in a few documentaries that these people, these autistic kids, can do it and be very in tune. And all right, I'm going to invest. I spent 5 days, 60 hours, 12-hour days doing these exercises, moving my belly around like the old Hindus. But at the end of the 5 days, we did these exercises where you're totally blindfolded and you're sensing, as ridiculous as you feel, you're sensing for either a pole or a bean. By the end of it, I was able to pick up a beanbag and put it on top of a PVC pole. I did it 4 times in a row. I didn't believe it myself. But there's more to this intuition, consciousness, third eye than we've been told. I do believe that, but...
And if you want to decalcify it, you're supposed to avoid fluoride.
Fluoride, what a ruse that was, huh?
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Turns out it lowers IQ in kids.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I'm sure it lowered my IQ.
How disappointing.
All those fluoride treatments that I had to do, you know, as a...
Yeah, putting the trays in at the dentist. Turns out
Yeah.
you're creating zombies. Was that what the game was? I mean, I'm happy to report my county was one of the first to remove it in Utah.
Oh, I'm still having to filter it out like triple.
Can you filter fluoride out?
Yeah, actually, clearly filtered's a good like tabletop, like pitcher filter. First, my water runs through an alkalinizer, like an older one that I've had for a long time, like the Jupiter Ion Ways. It's ancient, but it's a double biostone filter, 2-step, and it can alkalinize or not. You can pick your alkalinity, and it takes away 70% of the fluoride. And then I take that water and I run it through the pitcher. And that's what I drink, that's what the dog drinks, that's what my husband drinks, everyone drinks that. And I cook with it mostly too. And it's supposed to remove microplastic, but probably not as well as reverse osmosis. That takes everything out. But I don't have that.
Yeah. Man, the time and attention you have to spend to like really care about your environment is...
It's like constant. No, yeah, you can't. I mean, I send some of these things to some of my friends sometimes and they're just overwhelmed. They're like, I can't. They're like, I can't even think. They're like, don't spoil another thing for me. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Spoil it, right? Like, I threw in my kid's fluoride toothpaste last night.
Well, the what's it called? Hydroxyapatite. It's remineralizing. It's very good. If you're not going to use fluoride, that's what you need.
Is that like a weight loss thing?
Hydroxyapatite is the name, or I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's what's in, well, it's been in Japan in toothpaste for a long time, and it's a remineralizing thing. It will like literally make cavities go away. It's better than fluoride.
Huh. All right, let's finish this up with a speed round of the healthiest things, habits that we think made a biggest difference in our life.
Oh gosh.
1, I cut out corn syrup. It took me forever to figure it out. The popsicles I really liked made me 85 pounds heavier, and I had to get a dog because I would not walk for myself. But I would walk the dog, and that helped me lose a lot of weight. It was a Doberman. It was the best dog ever.
Oh, that's why you were... Oh.
Yeah,
yes, they are the best. They are the best. I'm on my second, and but okay, yeah. For me, I would say just totally avoiding fried food in general. Like that has made me feel a lot better. I just drew a line in the sand. I said, do not have that. And then the next level of trying to really avoid the seed oils, like as my life depended on it. I can't say that I'm perfect. I'll still eat out every once in a while. You know, I have a few corn tortilla chips here and there, but I am pretty seed oil free. So
Good. All right.
NMN
testosterone.
has helped me a lot too.
NMN?
Yeah, with energy.
Go on. Tell me more about NMN. That's the
Well,
precursor to the NAD?
To NAD, yeah, that really helps me with my energy. I put it under my tongue every morning. I don't mind the taste. Actually, that's the other thing. I start to like these tastes of these weird things. Like, I take.
Methylene blue.
I haven't done that yet. My husband does it in his eyes, but
In his eyes?
yeah, there's the eye drops. They go right in your eye. Help your mitochondria of your eye, and then you go outside in the light, and it activates it.
Okay, give me
Yep.
a link for that. That's interesting. I take these little blue troches.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then, but what is the one? Oh yeah, NAC, which is a glutathione precursor. It's kind of sulfury, but I actually like the taste, so I break the capsule and I put it in a glass of water and I drink it. That helps you detox.
You are crazy.
I am a little crazy. I've gotten used to the taste of these things and I like it, and it almost tastes like lemonade, and I'll add a twist of lemon and I'm like, yum.
I cut out soda, so I decided to retrain my taste buds to like herbal tea. And so I have a really good smelling little tea bar at my house where, different herbs, what I'm feeling. And it's different, and it's something I can look forward to a little bit. It settles me down before bed. But that's something that's probably stupid, but it added some
No.
depth. I replaced something with something else. And it just
Not having
made me feel better.
soda is a huge boon to your health. And I think people underestimate how much just one soda, that sugar bomb or chemical bomb if it's fake sugar, I think people underestimate how bad that is for you. I mean, every once in a while I'll have a Coke if I have an emergency migraine and nausea and I'm not.
Yeah, if I told you drank 100 of those 150 pounds of sugar a year, I think a lot of people would be surprised.
Yeah. I just think people need to understand how much better they can feel. I think that's the carrot. I think the carrot works better than the stick. And, people obviously don't even care if they weigh 300 pounds. You just have to know, I think you just have to chase feeling good.
Yeah,
People think,
meditating, praying, kind of trying to be in tune with your environment, like just shut up and be still for an hour.
Meditating is
Once in a
almost
couple times a week.
impossible for me. I use a brain tap. I cheat. I love my brain tap.
What's a brain tap?
Well, maybe we should save that for another show. You can find it on my website.
All right. Hadley, thank you for the hour and 10 minutes. We went over a lot of different subjects and it went quick.
Yeah,
Thanks for all
nice
that.
talking to you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and I'm going to hit you up for that clinic you told me about near you.
For sure. All right, sounds
Well,
good.
Thank you, Hadley. Talk to you later.
Bye.